Okay, I just faux pas there. Thought I was talking. Turns out I wasn't. Welcome, everybody. Hello, and welcome to the fourth Steering Committee Elections AMA. Very pleased to be bringing along Connor Boundy, who some of you may be very familiar with from the community. Pleased to welcome the first community candidate up to the stage, and to learn more, get to learn more about this prospective candidate. Connor, how are you doing today?
I am doing great. Thank you for having me here, Foundation. Thank you, community members, for joining us. I'm looking forward to a great discussion and telling you a little bit more about myself. I feel like on most of these spaces we're talking about you all.
I thought it was an interesting, role reversal. I feel like you're usually hosting and I'm kind of, chiming in. So, the shoe's on the other foot today. But yeah, great stuff. Great to have you here. So without further ado, we'll kick it off and we'll get straight into the introduction. So Connor, please tell us a bit about yourself. Where are you from and just a bit of background?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Connor Boundy. I am from Chicago, Illinois, here in the United States. I am a young 26-year-old passionate blockchain professional who, really got started way back when in the world of entrepreneurship in high school. I was part of the first ever high school incubator program in the United States. And what that means is I was part of a class where instead of putting on a backpack and going and sitting down at a desk, I actually was fortunate to go and sit down on a couch, open up a laptop, and actually given the tools to start a business. And my team ended up going along that class and winning that business, making our way into Forbes magazine. And that's where I really kicked off my entrepreneurship bug that never left. We ran that business for a few years into college. But as most individuals know, the world of college brings on a lot of new distractions and opportunities. One of those opportunities for me was in my wrestling career. I was fortunate to compete Division One, and that took a lot of time because I was a very passionate wrestler. It was a huge part of my life and still is today. I will still describe myself as a wrestler, even though I don't have the cauliflower ear. I didn't necessarily want that. I'll still describe myself as one to this day. And so, because of all of that, I took on that new journey of athletics, really learned a lot of things about time management and discipline, and learned that, yes, Dan Gable, the Hall of Fame wrestler, was right. Once you've wrestled in life, or once you've wrestled, everything else in life is easy. Because after that, I realized that, hey, wrestling wasn't for me. I got too many knee injuries. I had to get surgery and I had a lot of time on my hands. So I jumped right back into the world of entrepreneurship, started a new venture while I was in college, ended up running that for 4+ years with 20+ part-time team members. We had a really great time scaling the business, making our way into the ed tech transportation space. And then I found deeper and deeper and deeper love into the world of Web3. And more companies started to pull me in the direction of Web3 and just asking me how I could help. And so a lot of individuals that I started to work with ended up eventually forming an entity called Atlantis Capital, where we kind of consolidated a lot of our resources and expertise to act as a vehicle here and help grow companies' presence working with Web3, help them understand how this technology is actually impacting the world. And that's where I've been spending a lot of my time. But unfortunately, I'm not full-time there yet. I am also the business development manager at a leading risk and resilience software company. And that's something that I've been doing for the majority of my professional career. I was an intern at that company when there were 15 employees, came back every year, and now we're 300 plus. And I've helped create multiple positions in the business, brought in a proprietary solution that actually, I invented outside of it when it comes to monitoring sales expertise. And we've really just had a blast. So I've seen a little bit, I've done it all. I like to think so far, but I know I've got a lot to learn and a lot more to explore. And so, the steering committee felt right as another path to go explore and see what I can do with some of my experience in providing value to this team.
Fantastic. I mean, it's an interesting synergy with your wrestling and UFC connections. That's a funny ton of events.
Oh yeah, when VeChain aligned with the UFC, it just felt like it was even more perfect of a fit for me. I have a lot of buddies that, hey, were very talented wrestlers, have started to make their way into the fight world, and some of them have even competed in the octagon. And so, seeing that happen has been kind of a weird dream come true and weird, mesh of both worlds that I've absolutely loved.
Fantastic. Okay, well, that I guess we can lead on nicely to, when did you first discover blockchain then? What kind of drew you to it? What was it about blockchain that made you think, I need to work with this?
Yeah, this is actually a funny story. It was back in 2017, right around June. And I think a lot of you can remember what was happening, with Bitcoin at that time. That was where we were really starting to see the first giant retail run, and people were starting to talk about it. So I was interning at a national bank in the United States, and one of the executive leadership team members handed me a project for that summer saying, we need to learn about Bitcoin, and I need you to tell me why we should not invest in it and why this is a bad, opportunity for us to explore and why we need to stay away from it. So I spent, the next few weeks developing this giant report, learning everything I could. And I went back to that executive leadership team member and I handed the report to him on his desk. And I said, Jerry, to be honest, I actually invested in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin. And this entire report is on why you should be investing in it too. And we didn't necessarily have the conversation I think he wanted to have. But to this day, I like to think that, I was kind of right. I mean, look at where we're going and look at what's happened. And it's funny because I still keep in touch with that individual to this day. He's a good family friend of mine now. And it's just one of those things that getting introduced to it in that way, I think there's a little bit of beauty to it almost. Hearing that, hey, you shouldn't be doing this. And then I lifted up the hood and I was like, oh, I definitely should be doing this.
Brilliant. I mean, that kind of leads on again nicely to our next, specifically VeChain then. You mentioned Ethereum, Litecoin, Bitcoin. How did you come to find VeChain and what kind of inspired you about that?
Yeah, I think that was another fun story as well. Obviously Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin were the ones that I jumped into right away. But soon, I think as everybody else did when they started exploring the space, they found the world of altcoins. And yes, the world of altcoins can definitely be a little bit distracting. There was a lot of individuals saying they were going to change the world. They were going to do all this. They had the grandest missions ever. But one thing that I was really looking for was, technology and teams that were building infrastructure. That was really my group's kind of philosophy when we were going around investing in all of this and exploring it. We really liked projects like Chainlink, the Graph, and we were looking at other layer ones outside of Ethereum. And we found VeChain, and we couldn't have been more excited because we all believed that, hey, if there is going to be a world that is Web3, it is not going to be one layer one that just dominates it all for decades and decades and decades. There's going to be competition. There's going to be people pushing each other with maybe a varying differentiation of a layer one a little bit. They might be accomplishing the same goals, but there's going to be a couple, and some of them might even be hyper configured to bring value to smaller markets. And that's what I saw with VeChain initially, working with the supply chain industry. And it got me very excited that as a layer one, positioning yourself in kind of a smaller market and then expanding out, you've got your footholds, you've proven your initial use cases. Now let's go explore. And that was something that I was just thrilled upon to see happening. And I was surprised that it wasn't happening with everybody. And that wasn't necessarily a core focus for everybody. And so that's why I jumped in here and haven't left since the Venn days. And I will say it's been something that I've been extremely thankful to be part of.
Great. Yeah, I mean, speaking from my own background, having come into VeChain, I mean, it was for me coming from an engineer background, finding DNV, and it was like, oh wow, there's some actual real world stuff going on here. It was that connection to the real world. You're like, okay, these guys see a future in blockchain. There's of course something here. Yeah, fascinating. Good answers. So moving on to your kind of life skills, I guess. How would you say your professional career leans to working within blockchain and digital assets?
Yeah, a lot of things that I do is in the startup world. I've been working with startups for almost a decade now, which is weird to say, and that's something that I've had a huge passion about forever, even before the world of Web3. And one thing that I learned was to start a company, the biggest issue is truly people just having no idea where to begin, not having the right tools, not having the right guidance or direction to go and execute upon their idea. And so that's something I've been really passionate about helping individuals with, whether it be in the retail industry, whether it be over in real estate, whether it be in technology, or, even here in NFTs. That's something that I've always been trying to bring my experience of how I scaled my businesses, how I've seen leaders scale their businesses and help them do the same. And so with Web3's growth, there's been so many different areas that I've just seen this technology disrupting how a startup can be created more efficiently. And that's what I've really started to push over the last probably 2 years is how can we build resources, build content that will help individuals that are building in their garages innovate in the world of Web3 rather than using traditional tools that were available to them in the world of Web2. And so, that's where I've been bringing a lot of my professional career experience to this kind of new digital world and blending them. And it's thankfully been done through the largest startup community on the planet, Startup Grind. I am a management team member over at the chapter division of Maryland and have been working heavily with them on educating the entire global community on Web3. In February of 2022, the Startup Grind community started to push global messaging on Web3 education. And since that time, my chapter and my co hosts have been the only reoccurring episode that has been educating the community on Web3. And every single episode, we bring on a Web2 and a Web3 speaker to kind of sit there and talk about what is truly happening in certain parts of the business and how this technology is disrupting it, innovating it, and kind of like a how-to style video so that these entrepreneurs and educators and different individuals that are looking to explore this can watch this video and hopefully bring that back to apply to their business and use some of these learnings of some of these individuals that tried something that they're going to try. And instead of failing, hey, listen to how they may have messed up the first time or succeeded the first time and apply those learnings here. So that's been really my core focus over the last few years and what I've been kind of doing to blend these two together.
Amazing. So obviously you're well versed in the space. What would you say your kind of favorite application areas for blockchain are, and how do you see those potentially impacting the status quo of those particular fields or industries?
I'll say it started in DeFi. I loved DeFi. I think everybody did for a long time. It was just fascinating of, hey, the whole concept of moving away from third party dependence, me having at the same time with the whole DeFi kind of craze, issues with my bank Chase and just living it, that got me really excited. But now this just new craze of NFTs and where all of this has gone has been one of my bigger focuses because of all of the applications that I think NFTs have to onboard the masses to Web3 and then use solutions that exist in DeFi and use different parts of the blockchain that might not necessarily be as user friendly or easier to adopt that grandma who just figured out what a Mac is. So like that's kind of where I'm at and what I've been seeing, and I think that's why I got really aligned to the Mad V Apes community. I've been in the VeChain community for gosh, I think it's coming up on a year and a half now, something like that, which is crazy to think about. And I'm fortunate to be an advisor at Mad V Apes, which is one of the leading projects there. And my whole role there is really focused on, providing my experience from the entrepreneurship world to guide this team, but also to help with the Web2 partnership creation and using their NFTs to create real world use cases of, hey, discounts and service, discounts for products and services, access to exclusive events, whatever it might be. And so I think that's been one of the areas I've been super excited about because of the opportunity to onboard the masses with this unique part of the technology.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, maybe you can expand on that a bit. How are you finding VeChain's technologies are able to kind of expand on your interest in entrepreneurship and investment, and onboarding those real world companies?
Yeah, I think I can actually talk about a specific use case. Now, I can't share some of the things that are happening, but I've mentioned it a couple times. There's a small CPG company that I work with here in the United States, and they've been providing kind of an alternative food spread, like a nut butter, basically. Something that you wouldn't necessarily, or you would use instead of a peanut butter. That's healthy, it tastes great, and it's something that honestly we've been getting great feedback on. But one thing that they've been trying to explore is, how to build a community around their product, how to, really engage with their audience, get feedback from them, and, start to figure out how to build a global and scalable brand. Well, one thing that we've been doing with them is engaging with the Mad V Apes community and collaborating with them to, provide some initial survey questions for some market research data, to collaborate on, going to be careful here so I don't say some things that aren't announced yet, but to collaborate on some discount opportunities for people who hold Mad V Apes NFTs to buy those products and services at a discount for 10%, say. And then at the same time, if that Mad V Apes NFT community hits a certain volume of sales where that discount code is used, royalties will be kicked back to that community and they'll be able to generate revenue on top of providing value to their community members. So it's a win-win for all parties involved, where you're going to have this new startup company get access to a new audience, learn from it. That community is going to get access to goods and services at a discounted rate that they enjoy. And then those leadership members that are putting that community together and organizing it are generating revenue to help support future initiatives. I see replicating this over and over and over and over again, exploring tons of different opportunities of goods and services. And that's what just gets me so excited, because that's something that I feel like I'll probably stop talking now because I could talk about it forever, because there's so many different opportunities there. And so that's one specific one that I've been heavily focused on right now. And of course, there's a lot more behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic use case. Like, I mean, I know we've discussed before the Web 2.5 concept, right? There's helping companies take that step into blockchain, and for VeChain having these viable real world technologies and such an active, vibrant community, such an amazing opportunity for everyone here to really take advantage of that and potentially be their own entrepreneur, and create opportunities for this space, for VeChain, and for whatever comes beyond. I think, fascinating times in the blockchain adoption timeline. Great stuff. Thank you, Connor. So in your experiences so far, then, what are you seeing as kind of roadblocks to adoption, and how do you think VeChain can assist, or how do you think things could be done better?
It's cliche because I feel like everybody is on the same page with it, but it's so simple. It is education. And it's because people still do not understand what is happening here. And I think that for a while we were going about it the wrong way, where, hey, you got to understand the tech. You got to understand the tech. How many people here truly know how your iPhone or your Android operates? How many people here truly know how your servers are communicating with different applications? Probably not many, but you can all use it. You can all navigate it. And so that's where I think this new focus of education needs to start going, is not necessarily, hey, here's how the text works. Here's what it brings you. And I think, unfortunately, the world of Web3 for the last few years hasn't had that real world use case and kind of tangible feel of that value of here's what this brings you. And that's what's going to start changing here. And the education of pushing those use cases and pushing the here's what you can do today is going to drive that mass adoption, which is why I'm working with these startup companies, which is why I'm putting together this web series, because I'm seeing it. Every single time I hop on a call with people that are going to join us for a future episode of the web series, it's the same conversation over and over again, that their new solution that they've brought, everybody that they've explained to it and has used it has seen value, but it's just, they haven't grown yet because people don't know it exists or don't know why they need it. And so that's where all of us are going to have to work together here as a steering committee, as VeChain, as a Web3 global community, to kind of push this messaging of here's the value this brings, not necessarily how it works and why it's so much, better than this. It's just here's why your life is going to improve by interacting with this technology. And that's what I think the biggest barrier is right now, is that part of the education and kind of creating that new messaging of real world utility, of tangible value versus tech, tech, tech.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Great stuff, Connor. So in terms of, bringing it back to the community level stuff, what have you, what kind of experiences have you had with the crypto community? How have you been involved, and how do you think the foundation can provide more support in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, I live by the saying, passion is contagious. If you couldn't hear it in my voice, I'm a pretty passionate individual about what I do. And, that's something that I've seen where I quite literally keep a tally of individual people that I've had one-on-one calls with and onboarded to Web3. I'm up to 371. And that's something that I'm extremely passionate about, because those are people in my personal network or people that I like to work with. But sure, that's more of my local community. I've done some things on a larger scale. For some of you that are familiar with the Reserve Protocol, they are providing a stable coin that is growing all across Latin America with over 700,000 users on basically a Venmo style app to access stable currency and participate in the world like they should, and avoid things that are going on with Venezuela, with issues around hyperinflation and not being able to, participate in the global economy or even buy a hot dog. I was really passionate about working at that team, and I started by providing some weekly updates, doing some different things, eventually got onto a podcast where I was talking about them. And there was a global initiative that they ended up launching called Stable Currency, a Human Right. And we pitched the United Nations to say, hey, we believe that stable currency is a human right. It is a right that we need to make sure the globe is provided, because without it, you can't do anything. You can't go and vote. You can't go create a business and start a website. You can't do this if you don't have the opportunity to transact and participate. And so they pushed this giant campaign, and I actually helped put together the design and messaging around it, working with their leadership team and top community members. And we achieved our goal of signatures, actually exceeded it, and made some progress with it, which was awesome. On top of that, I was fortunate to work with one of the leading DeFi companies in 2021 to do a market research project on them and on their customer segments that they are kind of serving. Because of my background working in business development and the proprietary solution I developed with how to measure market innovation, they were curious to see how that would apply to them. So I did a quick overview and helped them discover some new business development opportunities. And that was a really fun time as well to just explore that. And then obviously, as you heard, I'm working on bridging the gap to Web3, that educational Web3 series. And we're hoping to do that in perpetuity. We have a lot of buy-in from the Start Grind community. We are growing it at a rapid pace. And I think we're up to a dozen partners now, and potentially 24 in the pipeline. And so it's something that I'm really passionate as well. Of course, I am an advisor at Mad V Apes, like I just mentioned. Go MVA community. They are a driving force, I believe, of the VeChain NFT ecosystem and the growth that we've seen happening over the last few months. I mean, you can't go wrong with some of the other leaders, though. I mean, we've got some incredible projects here. Shout out VKings, shout out War Dogs. But then also I'm running the VeChain project leader space. And honestly, that's something that I'm very proud of because of what it's done for this ecosystem. The VeChain NFT ecosystem in probably the fall of 2022 was kind of bickering. We were kind of fighting with each other. And there were still so many good things happening, but we weren't cheering each other on, rooting each other down. We were more, that's not that great. Come check this out. And eventually there was an opportunity with some amazing community members, Satoshi Nakamoto, the War Dogs team, the Virtual Flame Studios team, and the VC and World of E team on a spaces kind of just discussing, this sucks. This isn't fun fighting with one another. We want to, kind of change things. And I came up with the initiative to start this monthly space where we could talk about working together, growing VeChain, resolving FUD. And it has evolved way further than I thought. I mean, you all are joining us on Spaces now, and we're talking about initiatives that you all are working on and having the entire community provide feedback, interact with you. And we even have a Discord so that we can have communication with all of the leading projects in VeChain and community members to start uniting on different initiatives. I mean, the last few months of VeChain's just community on social media, it's completely transformed. And I like to think that I played a key part of that. I absolutely was not the reason it happened. The reason it happened were because we have absolute phenomenal projects and leaders here. I was just helping rally the troops and show them off. And so that's something that I actually am very proud to have accomplished here and help growing specifically the VeChain ecosystem, because I think where we're going now, my gosh, it's just been a lot of fun. And I think you can see it in these steering committee spaces. You're going to hear it when you talk to the rest of these community members that are jumping out up here, making waves themselves. And so it's not just me. For all of you listening back to this and listening to it now, there are some awesome people here doing incredible things. And that's why I wanted to show it off. So that's a little bit about what I've been doing in the crypto community, and I guess a little bit of what I'm doing in VeChain.
That was a great answer. You even inspired me. So let's move on to the steering committee then. So, obviously, assuming you have a successful candidacy or voted in, what do you think the core focus should be at the VeChain Foundation in the coming years, and how are you going to, play a role in that?
Yeah, I think I've been teasing it for most of this space. I work with the startup community. I work in the world of entrepreneurship. One of the things that I really want to focus on with the steering committee is focus on the whole aspect of VeChain is built for business. We know this. We have seen the largest enterprise businesses using this and using it successfully. I mean, why aren't we seeing startups use it? Why aren't we seeing the people that are actually driving the innovation, people working in their garages, working out of a server in their closet, being able to get access to these tools and technologies that are helping provide that innovation? That is one of the focuses that I really want to push. And I want to do it through the Startup Grind global community. Because of my connections and my relationships that I have there, I have an opportunity to position VeChain as the layer one of Startup Grind and really help these 5 million members onboard into a community that I believe is safe to learn in. I believe is an awesome opportunity. And I believe is pretty risk-free because of a lot of the opportunities with fee delegation and other things that just are available here in VeChain that aren't elsewhere. And so that's something that I really want to be focused on, is taking this new suite of tools that you guys are all going to be providing everybody and announcing here in the coming months, and helping figure out how do we tailor these for startup businesses in the retail space, in real estate, in manufacturing, in finance, and build different tailored solutions to them and help actually onboard them. Because then the more real world use cases we can develop out of that, the more it goes back to that value I was talking about, where people will start feeling blockchain. People will start feeling Web3 and seeing how it is changing their lives for the better versus tech.
Great stuff. No, totally agree. Well, in that case, given your successful kind of candidacy, what would be a major goal then? I suppose you kind of touched on it there, but what would you let's evolve that? Where would you see VeChain Foundation in 3 to 5 years, given your successful kind of pushing forward of your vision? What's your aspiration?
Yeah, in 3 to 5 years, I would like to see VeChain as the common name for startup companies when talking about blockchain. I would like that to be the onboarding to the world of Web3. Hey, go explore these other layer ones afterward. Go check out Ethereum. Go do what you need to. But there's a little bit higher security, a little bit higher risk there. And I think VeChain's lower barrier to entry, it just positions itself as the perfect just toe in the water to start onboarding people to Web3. And so that's what I want to do in the next 3 to 5 years, is help position VeChain as that layer one for these startup businesses. Not saying there isn't going to be a focus on the enterprise companies, the ones that are, working in the Fortune 100. I mean, that's what I do every day. I work in the world of risk and resilience, and my whole job is mapping organizations and helping them understand end to end, how their business works, how their business breaks, and how to put it back together. And I'm fascinated by it. But I believe that what's happening at the startup world, that's where we can grab the users. That's where we can position VeChain as somebody to go the distance and grab people and keep them here.
Cool. That's great. So how do you see then your position helping VeChain achieve its goal of massive real-world adoption? I suppose, again, you kind of touched on this with your broad answers, but how do you see, which vectors will you pursue to kind of help it along that mission? Because of course that's the grand ambition for VeChain and its technologies.
Yeah, I think it really goes back to like what I'm saying here is working with these communities that I already have access to. And yes, I already have some very tactical plans that I, again, don't want to share anything I'm not allowed to, but that I've been working on to make sure that we can actually make this a reality rather than just talk about, hey, we're going to get VeChain connected with the largest startup community in the world. It's fun to talk about. How are you going to do it? And that's really what I've been focused on, is helping VeChain's ecosystem get exposure to this community by onboarding different leading projects to their startup grind program. There's 10,000 different startups in the program right now, and I've been able to successfully help the Mad V Apes community apply and get accepted into the program. Same thing with Safe Haven, and I am working with a couple other projects as well. My goal is to assist any project within the VeChain NFT ecosystem or just broader ecosystem to get into that program, get access to their global communications platform, and to use all of the tools and opportunities that they bring to kind of infect all of them with this Web3 passion that we have and expose them to the opportunity here. And then, of course, I'm going to be working really hard on trying to get VeChain and different community members to in-person events that Startup Grind has across the globe. They are a global community with 600 chapters in 140 different countries. And so we have opportunity to make our presence felt in a bunch of different hyper-localized fashions that could then grow into really a global front. And so that's something that I'm also very interested in, is where is the VeChain community in person that we can start to take advantage of getting our presence at these events, making our presence felt, connecting with Web2 companies, bringing them back to VeChain, and then growing from there. Because I'm telling you, the Maryland chapter is slowly getting taken over by Web3, but that's one of 140. So let's go grab the 139 others. And then as we do that, I think we will see the results we want to see.
Absolutely. I mean, the Web 2 army is coming, so to speak. The Web 2.5 toe dippers are ready and just waiting for that technology. So hopefully what VeChain is delivering in the next few months will be that perfect stopgap. And obviously entrepreneurs such as yourself and the community will be that vital kind of, bridge across. Great stuff, Connor. So as a more broad question then, what do you see as the future of digital assets and blockchain within the the future of the economy? I realize that's a broad question, but we're interested in your perspectives at this point. Kind of what role do you see digital assets playing?
Yeah, I think it is actually quite simple. I think the role that digital assets plays in the broader global economy is lowering the barrier to participation in so many different avenues. Being able to not necessarily need large financial assets or large amounts of risk to go participate in some of these markets, to go participate in some of these opportunities. I think that is what I see digital assets doing here. I mean, obviously, you look at trust and transparency, those are the easy answers of, kind of how this is going to affect large businesses and, help brands establish trust with their communities. But I go back to what I've really been talking about this entire time, the startup world. These individuals that, don't get access to the normal tools that they should, but are innovating and are changing the way that we are going to operate forever. And so lowering that barrier to participation is something that I think that is kind of the broader message of what this is about. And I think that's why you're seeing so many individuals get excited about it, because they finally have a voice. They finally get to join these conversations. I've said it on so many different spaces, but how often do you have the opportunity to, on a Saturday at 1:35 Central Time, talk with a global layer one company or global company about the future of an industry. Not often. And we're doing it right now. And that's because that's something that I see consistently in this space. And it's because we have a lower barrier to participation. And I'm really excited about what that can bring because it brings a lot of voices to the table.
Absolutely. And I think we probably all agree it's nice to see that transition away from the top down kind of management structure towards this many voiced opinion and direction. It's the opinion of the many is as valuable when pulled together, or more valuable, I would argue, than the single opinion of an individual without input. Absolutely. Fantastic stuff. Okay, well, moving on. So how can the foundation better develop its tools and services to assure they are attractive for the future of the blockchain market? What do you recognize as an area for development?
I hate to keep repeating myself, but it's taking these tools and tailoring them for these smaller entities to use. It really is, because there's so many. I mean, I just in the startup grind community alone, and I'll go back to them just because I'm so familiar. Their community has grown exponentially over the last 15 years. I mean, I was at their global summit in 2020, and I want to say there was only 3 million members in the community, maybe. Now we're up to 5, pushing 6 just a few years later. I mean, I can remember the startup program was just a few thousand companies. And even when Mad V8 applied, there were 6,500. Now they're 10,000 plus. And so, seeing that growth and what's happening in that community and, how all of these individuals are banding together to push for innovation, it just makes sense to position ourselves there and make sure that we are there before somebody else is. Because I believe they are one of the sleeping giants here for opportunities within Web3 adoption. And I think that, like I said, I want to position VeChain as the layer one for that community so that somebody else doesn't scoop them up and they onboard them onto a community that, I might not necessarily believe is best fit to help somebody learn, explore, and do this the right way. So, that's really what I believe the focus should be for the next few years. Now that you've proven out that large scale businesses can use this solution, use it well, and are happy with it, let's show the other end of the spectrum, because then we can show every single one in between. And then VeChain is truly built for everybody. And that's what I think the long-term plan should be.
Yeah, great stuff. Well, I mean, on that vein, then, do you feel VeChain is moving along the right path? I mean, from what your personal experiences are, obviously there's a lot of stuff coming in the pipeline technologically, but how do you feel VeChain is moving in the right direction to fulfill this kind of objective you've mentioned?
Absolutely. And like I said, I think VeChain's been positioned for this objective. With things like fee delegation, you allow for that participation and lower, again, that barrier to participation for a layer one here. That doesn't happen elsewhere. I mean, and then also with the suite of tools that you all are getting ready to launch here, I think a lot of people are going to start seeing the value that this technology can bring in a completely different way. And that's what I'm very excited for, because I think that the minds in this community that are going to see those tools and realize the opportunity and the different parts of their lives that they interact with every day, it's going to grow really fast. And I think it's going to be something that honestly is going to be tough to keep up with, and that we are going to have to stay organized with all of the ideas that are going to end up flying around and actually acting on some of them versus just sitting here and talking and talking and talking. And I think that's something that has happened also in the entire world of Web3 for the last decade and a half. People love to talk, 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 talk. If you all have noticed, VeChain did not talk, 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 talk since 2017. We've finally really kind of pushed you all to start interacting with the community, start showing a little bit more about what you all are doing. You've really been focused on building. And I think that was the right way to do things. There was so much noise. There was so much happening here. But like I said, you couldn't feel it. And that's why nobody necessarily knew what was happening. We knew people were making money. We knew everybody was talking about it. But if you walk down the street and you ask somebody what Bitcoin is, they have no idea. They can barely understand it. And that's why I think with what you all have been focused on, the way that you have been building over the last few years and what you're getting ready to release, you've positioned yourself in an absolutely incredible spot to amplify crazy growth among VeChain. And I'm smiling right now because I'm just picturing it because I can see it happening. We have everything we need. Now it's just time to execute. And I think that's what gets me really excited.
Absolutely. I mean, that's always been VeChain's direction, is taking the blockchain out of blockchain, right? It's, you want your Web2 devs to take their stack, run it through some code and churn out a smart contract and not have to think about, oh, I need to learn the blockchain, various languages. And exactly, I think Dimitri's here, I can see him, that's something that the senior team have been working to for a long time, and it's definitely something that's very close. So you're on the nose with that. Okay, to take it a bit more to then VeChain's kind of MO at the moment and their vision and mission. Obviously, VeChain is the everything chain. It's doing a lot of stuff, but there's a big focus on sustainability. Of course, that's a broad area encompassing 17 UN goals, amongst poverty alleviation, sustainable use of resources, carbon management, etc. What do you see as the most immediately promising area of blockchain application within the field of sustainability?
Well, I think I mentioned it briefly. It's allowing this new ability to establish trust with brands and consumers that has never happened before. I mean, sure, yes, you can talk about the impacts and everything that it's going to do for the good of the globe. And I think that is obviously the overarching, goal of all of this. But I think that the ability for entities and businesses to interact with consumers and show what they are doing, this level of transparency has never been accomplished before. It's never been done. And I think that positioning VeChain as one of the key tools to do this, I mean, it's the whole concept of everybody's going to run for, diamonds and gold and find it, and we're handing them shovels. That's what I see happening here. So I think that what VeChain is doing, positioning themselves for it, is actually a great idea. And I think it is all about helping these businesses transparently show their impact on the world and how they're doing their parts to earn that trust, to earn that business from the consumers. And as a consumer, to feel good about buying that product and service, know it was done the right way, and have confidence in the people that you're supporting. And so, that's something that, again, just gets me very excited, because the world of tomorrow, all of this is possible with this technology. It just wouldn't be without it. You could easily have somebody go through and back channel, oh, this transaction says this now. It's as simple as that. Having that opportunity to, prove what you are doing is going to be very powerful.
Absolutely. Okay, and then a grandiose question for you, Connor. Given ample time and resources, what is the ultimate thing you'd like to see built with VeChain's technologies?
I've said it like 20 times, but I'm gonna spin it a little bit. And I think it's not that. It's just, it keeps going back to what I believe one of the core answers really is, because it's an answer for so much in working with these communities. But I'll spin it a little bit here, because I think it's been a hot topic that I've been hearing a lot. And you mentioned it once on this space, Web 2.5. And these companies using blockchain, NFTs, and cryptocurrency for just maybe a core process within a certain department, not even transforming the department, just using blockchain in one aspect, using Web3 technology in one aspect, and then slowly growing into it. That's something that I think is going to be very interesting in how VeChain positions themselves with these Web3 suite of tools to allow for companies to embrace this 2.5 mentality. Because Web3 can be a scary term. And I think that that's something that also throws off a lot of individuals. And it's something that, honestly, I didn't hear until probably the last month and a half as a term. But every single time we've brought on a company to our Bridging the Gap to Web3 series, it's come up. It's come up in real estate. It's come up in retail. It's come up in, traditional finance. And so it's something that I think is going to be very interesting to see how this suite of tools that you're getting ready to release are going to position these quote unquote Web 2.5 companies to embrace those tools and accomplish the things that they're going to focus on with improving certain processes in their business. So that's something that I think is going to be really interesting outside of course, developing these tools and tailoring them for the larger and broader startup community, because that's where the innovation's happening. That's where the users are. And that's where we can onboard them from the get-go and keep them sticky and stay here.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I love the term Web 2.5. It's just such a nice concept. It's this dipping of the toe, as you mentioned earlier, but it is the case of the Web 2 stack. They're used to kind of certain parameters. All of a sudden, you've got this extra capability, but leaping is one thing. Just adding those little parts into the business model, that's the only path forward realistically. So I think the Web 2.5 analogy is absolutely brilliant. Okay, to the wider community, we've kind of reached the end of our question list now. So I will put it to you all. If you have any questions for Connor that you'd like to ask, please raise those hands, and we'll bring you up on stage, and you can ask Connor anything you like. But in the meanwhile, Connor, is there anything else you'd like to share as we kind of head towards the end of our session here?
Yeah, I guess while we're waiting for anybody to potentially ask any questions, I just want to give a huge thank you to the foundation for putting this together and giving some new community members the opportunity to share their story here and get a seat at the table. Like I mentioned earlier on this space, you're going to hear from community members that are going to come up after me that are going to blow your mind. I'm surrounded by individuals that I'm extremely thankful to be surrounded by every single day that are doing incredible things here. And I really, truly hope that you give myself and some of these other members an opportunity to help drive the direction of where VeChain is going. And I do not think you'll be disappointed. I think that you will be very happy in hearing some of the passion and some of the drive and some of the expertise that exists in this ecosystem that I just don't see elsewhere. And so I'm extremely thankful and honored to, be a candidate. I truly hope I have the opportunity to, represent the community, bring a new face, and help grow this ecosystem. But I do know that any one of our community members that is applying that does get the opportunity, they're going to do an amazing part. So shout out to everybody that's getting ready to come up after me, and shout out to everybody listening here, because I think you're going to enjoy what you hear.
Great stuff. Yeah, I think community representation is a key focus for the foundation, and definitely raising up VFAM at large is a very important objective. So yeah, we're embracing the Web3 ideology, I think, as vital as we move forward into this new world. I see we've got Charles. Charles has requested a speaker slot. So Charles, let me bring you up 1 second. Charles, you will be up imminently. Please share your question with Connor.
Hello, greetings, everyone. I just want to ask, is VeChain ever going to list with Coinbase? Because a lot of people who are invested in it think that's a very, very important determining rate, because the visibility of VeChain, from all indications, seems to be restricted more to the Chinese market, and listing it on Coinbase will give it the proper visibility the world needs, so that people can get to know more about it. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for your question, Charles. Obviously, this is an election AMA for Connor, so the focus is around Connor.
But Charles, I hope it happens. I hope it happens, Charles.
I mean, there's ongoing discussions. Let me leave it at that. There's NDAs in place, but I'm not at liberty to say any more at this point. But I do appreciate your question, Charles. Thank you very much. Crypto Q, we've got another speaker. Let's bring you up to the stage. Welcome, welcome. Please let Connor know your question. Crypto Quincy, sorry. I only saw the queue. It was cut off.
Oh, sorry. What about
ellipsis?
You hear me?
Hey,
sorry
buddy.
about that.
Yeah, I can
How
hear
you doing? I had a question, man. What do you guys got planned for the VeChain NFTs in the future?
Oh, I can talk a little bit to this. Hey, I know it's a broader question, but I would say the big thing with the VeChain NFT ecosystem that you're going to see in 2023 is a lot of projects focusing on bringing this real world value that you can start to feel. starting to get access to exclusive events in real life, starting to have opportunities to win access to different events, starting to have opportunities to buy products and services that you are interested in at discounts. I think that's going to be one of the big focuses of this NFT ecosystem over the next probably 8 to 9 months. And then we'll see where things are starting to go. I would say the other thing that you're going to definitely start seeing is a lot of the games and a lot of the things that people have been working on over the last year are going to start becoming a reality. And you're actually going to get to interact with those games, start to use your NFTs as the characters that you've always been wanting to. And so I think this is going to be a very exciting year for the VeChain NFT ecosystem. You're going to see a lot happen, but I think those are going to be some of the core themes that you're going to see across projects.
Okay, thanks, man, to answer my question. I've been in VeChain a while now, man, and I'll say I love it. I checked them out, and I think this is a great project, man. You guys are doing a real good job. So thank you.
I love to hear that, my man. Well, make sure you're poking around this NFT ecosystem. Connect with some of the leaders. There are some awesome people to follow down here. Make sure you're following Bread. Make sure you're following Sigtoshi. Follow the General, War Dogs, Aloha, to name a few. There's some awesome community members you can connect with here to learn more.
Okay, cool. Thanks, man. Thank you.
Great stuff. Thank you for your question, Crypto Quincy. Have we got anyone else in the crowd who would like to ask Connor a question? Now is your time. Connor may be a member of the steering committee, so we've got to make wise decisions amongst us. Okay, well, I'm not seeing. Oh, we've got a. Fat Finger came in. Classic. We had a few of those last night. I think three in a row. Okay, well, Connor, I'm not seeing anyone else pop up in this at the current moment, so I think we could probably call it quits there. But I do thank you for a fantastic session. I think you answered everything excellently, so well done with that. Oh, he's back up. Blackia, let me bring you up to the stage. Sorry, Connor. We're going back in.
Are you kidding? No worries. I'm just getting ready to watch some college basketball, get ready to head out on my Saturday, and then get ready to do some Alpha Octagon here with some UFC fights later today. Alpha Octagon is an event in the NFT community, y'all. Go check it out.
Nice plug. Blackie, you are on the stage. What's your question for Connor?
I'm just wondering how can one join the ecosystem and everything, join the team of VeChain, or do you guys already have your people and everything?
Yeah, hey, I mean, when it comes to joining the foundation, I think that's a little different. I think the foundation is honestly embracing a lot more of community members stepping up, taking roles, and if there is an open opportunity in the team, that can happen. It happened with one of our community members, Solomon Grundle, who is speaking right now alongside me. And then, of course, I think that one thing that you're going to see is in this NFT community, there is so many opportunities to show your value to a team and take on a position. I was a community member before I became an advisor, and I started bringing value with some of my experience in the startup world. And that's something that the team saw, value in, and they ended up adopting me in a formal role. And so that's something that I would encourage you to do is if there's an area that you believe you're talented in, that you would like to, get deeper into and show this community, go poke around this NFT ecosystem. There are so many growing projects that are looking for additional support and looking for the right team members to help them grow. And so that's, something that I would highly recommend. And if you need any help and direction, all you have to do is tweet #does VeChain have NFTs, and you will have 30 or 40 people reply to you on different projects that you should go check out.
All right, yeah, cool, thanks.
I mean, from VeChain's perspective as well, just to add a layer, we're always here to support in whatever way we can. Kind of the DMs are open, and we are willing to talk to anyone in the community. It's I know there's lots of people here. Sometimes it's hard to give everyone recognition, and I hope no one feels left out. Just know that just send us a DM and we can talk. And there's a lot of UFC events. There's a lot of opportunities for projects to leverage these events for community meetups, all kinds of things. So just as an add-on to that, as the foundation, we provide the foundation. Just remember. So get in touch if you need us. We are here.
I think
Cool.
my
Yeah. Thanks.
favorite way to describe you all, and I use this for some NFT projects, is you all built the playground. You all built the playground. There's some 6 slides. There's a cool monkey bars. There's a really cool swing set. But just because you built a really cool playground doesn't mean everybody's going to show up and have a good time. The community members, the people that are listening to this call, the people that are operating on VeChain, those are the people that showed up to the playground, are swinging on the swing sets, are playing lava tag, are playing wood chips, whatever, and are having a great time and are causing more people to come here. And so, as you as a listener listening back to this or listening right now, remember you are playing an absolutely key part in this. I'm one of those members on the swings. Maybe I am the person that's it in lava tag right now, but we're having a damn good time. And I encourage all of you to continue to do that and have fun here as we're doing this, because it's just going to make this infectious and it's just going to help us grow faster. So that's my challenge to all of you and my little last spiel. But thank you all for having me.
Love it. Well, we've actually had another one pop up to the stage. Crypto on the beat, right? Yeah, you're doing well. You've got a good train of questions. Crypto on the beat. You're imminently on the stage. Feel free to ask Connor your question. Hello there. What's your question for Connor?
Oh, hey, how's it going? This is Crypto on the beat. Yeah, my question is just more about you. How do you think your colleagues would best describe your strengths?
I love that question. I think that my biggest strength right now is I'm a very empathetic leader. I'm a leader that's a very people first. And so, when it comes to inefficiencies within my team or within my business that I'm operating in, I don't necessarily look to what they're doing wrong right now. I look to what distractions might be affecting their ability to perform. That's something that I really pride myself on, is the ability to lead people first. And I think because of that, I've established a level of trust with my team where they know if they need help, they can come to me, and I'm going to be providing them the resources they need to see success. I mean, I've 5x'd the size of my team in my full-time position since I've been there, building multiple positions. And I think I've done it because I'm a very people-first leader. I'm also very data-driven. I do not like to lead with emotion. I like to lead with a lot of numbers. I like to lead with a lot of black and white conversations that we can have. And so that's also something that I'm very focused on, is using data to drive discussion as well, to help me reveal that, hey, there is an inefficiency here, and it might not be that person, it might be that distraction. And so those are really 2 core aspects that I think you will see. And then I think the third comes to some of my public speaking skills and my ability to, kind of be a little bit of a cheerleader and rally a team. In my full-time position, I'm the guy that kicks off the week. I've got 100 people on the call listening to me bright and early on a Monday, and I'm the coffee. And, that's something that I hope to continue to bring here in the VeChain ecosystem. I bring it to the project leaders spaces every single month. I try to bring it every space I can get in, but I am quite busy sometimes, so I don't get into all of them. And so it really comes down to being a people first leader, being data driven, and being a strong public speaker to kind of wrap it all up.
Thank you for answering that question. I mean, I feel like you hit it on the dot. I look forward to hearing more about you. And I mean, I came from the Chronos block initially, and now I'm in the VeChain, and I love what I hear. I love what I see, and I look forward to the future. Have a good day, man.
Hey, thank you. I really appreciate the question, and welcome to VeChain.
Great stuff. Yeah, great question. Thank you very much. Good answer, Connor. Okay, we've got time for one more. I think Fritz Beats was the first to get his question in there, so let's bring him up to the stage. Fritz Beats, you are up. What's your question for Connor?
All right. I just joined in. I'm not really sure if someone already asked this question, but thank you for bringing me up. So just wanted to know, I've been following VeChain for a while now, and so my question is, what does the team in general has for VeChain with the rise of AI and all these other projects to set VeChain apart and in the position to lead moving forward 2023 and the rest of the year?
Wait.
Was that a question for Connor? Sorry, this is a candidate elections kind of session for Connor.
Oh, just
so
for Connor.
You aiming
okay.
that?
No, not bad. Then someone else can take that. So.
I mean, to answer more in a more broad way, of course, the combination of AI and blockchain is a very powerful tool. Blockchain provides the kind of base of data, and of course, any data set has to be trustworthy. So therefore, blockchain will play an integral role in that. VeChain, of course, being one of the most real-world utilized and real-world ready blockchains, will inevitably play a kind of combined role within the AI blockchain space. To my knowledge, nothing immediately in terms of a project on the network, but data obviously is pulled from a data source, and blockchain is a data source. It's a source of truth. So certainly as a data set, I think VeChain will inevitably play a large role in the future of AI, because you need a data set, you need a real world capable blockchain, and VeChain is excellent in that regard. Connor, any comments from you?
I was going to say, I'll just add on to that, going back to what I've mentioned, and probably the space is sick of hearing it. The startup community I work with, I'm seeing so many AI companies developing and growing in there. That's where I think what you're hearing from Solomon Grundle here is, hey, we are built for this. We just need